Welcome to the only place where real, raw, and vulnerable conversations happen with IFBB bikini pros to give you an inside look at their struggles, strategies, mindset, passions, and all of life beyond the stage. This podcast is made to inspire, motivate, and remind competitors and the average gym goer that even the most extreme lifestyles and elite athletes have their ups and downs. Thank you so much for tuning in today. I'm your host, Celeste Rains-Turk, and now it's time for the Confessions of a Bikini Pro podcast. Hello, everyone. Today we are speaking with a wife, mother, and full-time school district principal. She is a lifetime athlete who just turned pro at North Americans this year, 2020. So welcome to the show, Jen Roberts. How are you doing?
I'm doing fantastic. Thank you. And thank you so much for having me on your show. Super honored to be here.
Oh, well, thanks for coming on. It's hilarious. I was like, I'm going to introduce you as Jennifer Roberts. And I literally was just like, Jen Roberts. But I'm just very grateful to have you. I can already tell this is going to be an awesome conversation. And you know that I like to start every episode by asking, what is something you do, think about, or a ritual you have right before your heel hits the stage?
Yeah, absolutely. Love this question. And, I think one of the things is I always say a couple of reminders to myself, a couple of reminders of what I've been working on with my posing. And it's kind of changed. So this year things changed. So I still set a couple of reminders to myself, but what I did this year different is that at North Americans is I added a physical cue where I put my finger and my thumb together. And that really grounded me into my physical cue, which was to keep that arm, a dead arm, really relaxed, because that was one of the things I had to work on. And so that made a huge difference for me this year. And I used to always say, own the stage, like the stage is yours, own the stage. And this year, again, I changed it. And it was, working with my posing coach, she really worked on this with me too, on not having, taking that nervous energy and transforming it. So this year I said, it's showtime. And that gave me the permission to put all that energy into, okay, and you know what, if you're nervous, it's okay, but you're going to act like you're not nervous. So you're going to put on that act. And yeah, it was great. I was not nervous.
That's amazing. That is so powerful too. The fact that you went from reminding yourself of everything you've been working on and needing to do to improve and bring your best to the stage and your presence, but also having a physical cue, which is, I think, awesome. And then it almost sounds like switching from the mindset of okay, I'm backstage, it's about to happen, to it's game time now.
Yeah, exactly. And the other thing too is I really worked hard this year with my posing coach again on the energy you bring to the stage, because we finally got to a place with my posing where we were starting to be able to talk about other things instead of correcting. And so we really started working on how to bring that amazing energy so that you're different and you're light and beautiful and confident. And so what I did this year with that is my family's very close. And 8 days before the show, my cousin passed away. And I had to miss his service. It was my choice. Do I continue with North Americans? And so that was kind of my struggle there. And I chose to continue to do North Americans, and but I thought of him backstage, to honor him some way. And I thought about this lovely story. About 6-7 years ago, my son was 6 at the time, and my cousin John, was eating Oreos at the lake, because we have cottages together at the lake, and my son wanted an Oreo. Well, John had this ridiculous hat on his head that had a fish head on one side and the tail on the other. And it was Huma Nuka Nuka Apua, a Hawaiian fish.
Yes.
So my son Alexander had to say Huma Huma Nuka Nuka Apua, and he would get an Oreo. So even to this day, when we talk about John, he just kind of smiles and says, huma huma nuka nuka apua. So I said that backstage, and it just like brought this like heartwarming, beautiful energy and smile, but a little bit of sadness. And obviously, you don't want sadness. So then I thought about my grandpa. And my grandpa used to always say to me, "You are like a ray of sunshine when you walk towards me, and you light up a room." And I thought, I'm going to be that ray of sunshine and light up that stage. And it was
Wow.
just
I got
made
chills.
the difference. It just made the difference for me.
Wow, how beautiful is that? Like the fact that you could take both, like the lightheartedness of the fish hat and John and honoring his memory, and
Hmm.
also the fun and vibrant and light, like you said, shining on stage from your grandpa's inspiration. And that's just such a great, I mean, it's a really positive and powerful representation of how much your family means to you.
Hmm.
And I just find that to be really, really cool that you were able to do that. And when you talk about stepping on stage and bringing that presence, bringing that new energy, it got me thinking about a conversation that I was just having on the show actually with Lauren. And it was like, not, I don't even know if we were recording, but not trying to look or pose like someone else,
Hmm.
and instead posing completely as you. And it sounds like that allowed you to really step on stage and own your personal energy.
Yeah, no, you are so correct. Like that's exactly it. And it was just, it really felt like this is my time to shine. And I wasn't in my head about anything. I was just, this was my time to do my thing. And I think it was the first time ever that even my coaches said, they all said to me like, "Wow, you were so confident. You just came out with such great energy." And I said that it's the first time I think I was not nervous at all. Like I was just so ready.
Wow. And you were rewarded.
Yeah, yeah,
That is
exactly.
so cool. Do you feel like you'll have that same energy maybe when you go for your pro debut?
Yeah, I think it's a really important thing that I never looked at before, and it was a mind shift, of I don't know exactly what I'm going to bring at that time, where I'll be in my life or what experiences, but definitely it's a new focus that you really need to think about what energy you're bringing and how you're going to bring it.
Mm, I love that. And it's just such a compliment to obviously your posing coaches, and then it's a compliment to the work that you've done. So you're bringing all those elements together. And I was actually curious because you went pro at North Americans this year, and I want to know what it was like to compete in the tent. Was it different because you had competed last year as well? So did you notice a difference in anything, like that, anything you had to give more thought to, or anything that worried you about doing that?
Um, no, it was really kind of cool to do and compete under the tent. It's too bad there wasn't an audience there, but you know what? I think in a way it kind of it was really cool because then you just focused on the judges, which is what you're supposed to focus on anyway. So it really highlighted that.
Yes.
And last year and this year, I always go when I see the stage. So Jody and I did it last year. We went this year, and Jody Andrews, who's also on my team.
She's amazing.
Yeah, she's fantastic.
Such a kind soul.
Yeah, and she's been on your show.
Yes.
Yeah, and we looked at the stage, and I thought it was higher, so like that was important to know. Um, and just like the angle of where the judges were, we really had a look at that, which I think is really important to do. Um, but no, I think it really I was able to just focus on the judges and not anybody else, and the stage was great. There was no problem with the stage at all. It was great. They did a great job.
That's amazing. And I can attest to that experience with only the judges being in the room, really. Because of the two shows I did, it was the same thing. A couple of like coaches, a couple of the trophy girls, yeah, they were there.
Yep.
But yeah, just being able to walk on stage, it felt so intimate as well. Like I remember the judges were like, "Thank you, ladies. We'll see you soon," or "Thank you, line up again. Follow the expedite or whatever." And I remember like we all said audibly like, "Okay, thank you," like because we felt like we were just there with them. Like it was such a different experience. And you didn't start out in the NPC necessarily. You actually had been doing, and correct me if I'm wrong, but you were previously doing like natural shows in Canada with drug tested leagues, right?
That's exactly right. Yeah. Yeah.
Okay.
Smaller local federations. I was really, really, I mean, IFBB was definitely put in my head from my my second coach, my very first
Mm-hmm.
coach. So it was always in the back of my head that that was something that I wanted to attain. But really, when I was at the beginning, like from 2016 to 2019, I was really just doing local shows to keep fit. Just to
Wow.
stay in the that was really what I was doing. So yeah,
Giving
like
people a run for their money too.
it's funny because I guess I competed back in 2000. Okay,
Mm-hmm.
this is before bikini, or before if bikini was around, I was not aware of it. So I was actually a teacher at the time, and I was going for my personal training certification. And I thought, okay, well, in order to gain credibility in this part-time job I wanted on the side,
Yeah.
I really wanted the experience of being on stage, taking my body to the limit and seeing what it could do. And then, yeah, like just having that credibility so that I could train anyone from any spectrum. And so with Brian and Donna Logue back in the day in Edmonton, I did a couple of bodybuilding shows and did really well.
You guys, when she says bodybuilding, she means like the division bodybuilding, like not bikini. Like
That's right.
it was. I loved your post that I saw, and I said to you like, can we talk about this? Because damn, that was awesome. Do you feel like? Well, actually, let me just rewind a little bit. Were
Yeah.
you already like lifting weights and living a healthy lifestyle, or how did you get into doing that? Because you said you wanted to be a trainer, you wanted that credibility. So like, how did all that even evolve?
Yeah, good question. So yeah, I was definitely lifting weights. I was really interested in it, but I also wasn't at my fittest place in my life. I have this weight which is 140. If I ever get to 140, it's like stop, whoa, hit the wall. What's going on? You've got to do something now. And that happened to me. And then
Okay.
so that was some of the impetus as well. And then, so I definitely was in the gym and training. But when I trained for this bodybuilding competition, I actually trained for a full year to get my body down to a good level before I really hit my prep. When I hit the stage, I was 102 pounds, completely striated.
Oh, I bet.
And then I came second in that first competition, went to provincials, came in at 107 pounds the next competition, and I think I placed third in that competition. But I think one of the things I realized out of this is that I thought I was doing it because of personal training, but I realized post show that some of the factors, there were really deep-seated insecurities
Mm,
with body image and not feeling good enough and really lack of self-worth. And whenever I got to a certain weight, that self-loathing, like I loved your post the other day. I mean, this spot
thank
on,
you.
right? Like spot
Yep.
on. And I was like, wow. And that then really led me down a different path. And I went away from fitness, and I was into personal development. And I read every personal development book I could get my hand on. I loved it. I was eating it
Nice.
up. It's what I needed. I was taking every course right to the facilitator's level and two different companies and just learning about myself and becoming a strong, the strong person I am today, which I wasn't 20 years ago.
Oh my gosh. I feel like, well, first of all, I want to honor you for going on that journey because a lot of times as athletes, like we start facing those issues and they're so scary that we don't want to go into them and address what's really going on. And the fact that you did says a lot about you. And like you said, has contributed to who you are today. And that's just amazing. And the reason I was like, oh my God, is because like literally very similar journey for me. And
Oh, wow.
yeah, like I had done my first show, realized all the demons I hadn't dealt with that, actually were just being justified by competing. Um,
Mm.
yeah.
Body shiver. Oh,
And so then like after that first show, I was like, okay, I need to actually address this. Like everything was revealed to me. And it's like I had to shed so much of what I thought that I knew and thought I believed and thought I needed, thought was
yeah.
right in order to actually step into what I needed and what was right for me. And I feel like that's why now I can, and I'm sure you can attest to this, but it's like I don't blame bodybuilding for anything. I appreciate bodybuilding for actually shining light on the demons that I had to face. And now I don't have disordered eating patterns. I don't have a negative relationship with food or my body or my goals because, like you, I invested the time, the money, the effort, everything into working on it. And you mentioned you read a lot of personal development books. Do you mind sharing one thing that really transformed the way that maybe you were viewing your life or yourself?
Wow, that is such a, a great question. You know what? To be honest, it wasn't in a book. Like I remember when I met
Mm.
my now to be husband. He was like, "Don't you just read any books for fun?" Like he was looking at my bookshelf, and they're just all like serious
Oh
development.
my God, I
And
love
I'm
it.
just laughing, like, you know what? I love this kind of stuff, and I think, there's lots of gems I got out of those books. I just remember him looking at me one night and going, I just don't get it. And I don't understand. And I go, I know, I know, I know. He goes, you're so beautiful. And he actually put me in front of a mirror and made me look at myself and said, look how beautiful you are. And I couldn't look at myself. And I remember, like, I could cry right now. I remember crying and I can't, I can't, I can't. And he's just saying, you are the most beautiful woman I've ever met. And I just don't get it. I go, you don't have to get it. Like, you don't have to get it. It's something that's just so deep in me, and I don't know why. But that was my pivotal moment. Like, I don't know why, I can't, but it was a pivotal moment for me.
Mm.
Um, moving forward, because he did. He made me look at myself through my tears. He, we were not leaving until I looked at myself, and yeah, it was a really pivotal moment.
Oh my gosh. I'm just so touched by that. That is absolutely beautiful. The fact that he went there with you says so much about him. So
Hmm.
I'm sure he's listening because he obviously loves you very much. And I think that that's just really cool what he did. And amazing that that was a pivotal moment for you more than anything else. And I think that's such a testament to action because we can read all the posts, we can read all the blogs, we can read all the books. At the end of the day, if we're still not willing to look in the mirror and change something,
Yeah.
nothing will change. And I know there's a lot of girls who listen to this podcast, even they hear this amazing insight, or they hear me talk about a program or another coach talk about something that they are interested in, and there's no action. I'm not saying that they're not eventually going to take action, but I think your story is a great testament to the power of implementation and action and actually just doing the really hard thing.
Yeah. Yeah, exactly. That was one of the hardest things, really, around body image. There were a few, but that was one.
Yeah. Oh yes, yes indeed. I can totally understand. And how do you feel like your body image is now, if you don't mind me asking?
Yeah, I think much better. I can't say it's perfect because post show, and I just registered for your series there, by the way.
Oh my gosh, that's awesome. The food one or the post show program?
Post show program.
Woo! You have to let me know what you think.
I'm so excited for it. Yeah, I think. I feel so much better about my body image, and on, overall really strong, a lot stronger. And I think I do shows now for a different reason. And I do them to stay healthy, and I do them to stay fit, and I do them because I love them, as opposed to getting thin or being that, making that body image, I guess.
Yeah.
So it's for a different reason. I still have moments for sure post show. Like if I eat too much, I won't sleep that night because I'll berate myself. I'll be so mad at myself. Why did you do that? So I
Mm-hmm.
still have moments, but I think that I get through them faster, and I don't go to a really deep, dark place anymore. I'm hard on myself. I might not sleep that night, but then I get up and I hit the treadmill and I hit my program again the next day and I move on.
I think it's important to recognize the growth that's occurred over a long period of time, because it helps us to see that like we can continue to heal. And I appreciate you being vulnerable about just even what you're going through now and how you still face those tough times. And none of us are immune to these experiences, because we are in this sport that, even if we're competing for our health or because we love it or for all these positive reasons, we can't deny the fact that we are working to manipulate the shape of our body, the size of our body, the way our body looks, like we're being judged. Like all these factors can play a role. And when we shift our focus on them, that's going to shift the way we focus on ourselves too. So I think it's really cool that you've been able to reflect on the growth you've had through this and how much of a difference it is now. You're not like competing as a crutch to keep this body so that I can feel this false sense of love in myself. And now it's more like
Yeah,
competing is a way that I love myself, which is just a really cool transition. And now it makes me wonder, I mean, you're obviously interested and you enjoy personal development. You've worked really diligently to transform the way that you think about yourself and you view yourself, and you continue to do that. And there are some people out there who feel like it's too old, or I'm too old, it's too late. I can't do this and I can't change these patterns are ingrained in me forever.
right.
What would you share with someone like this? Because here you are, you're competing, you just turned pro, you are representing like the masters division. So how do you address people who feel like they'll never accomplish that?
Yeah, that's a great question. I think that it's never too late. I mean, I started back in bikini in 2015. That's it, 5 years ago. And, I think it's absolutely never too late to work on yourself or do a show if you want to do a show or whatever goal that you set for yourself. Gosh, it's never too late. I mean, age really is just a number. It really is. And I just think that I've got a young family. I have a demanding job. I'm not a youngin. My son is very busy in hockey, and you know what? You can, if you want it, you can do it. It depends how important and how high of a priority you set it as. Like I, I get up at 5 a.m. every morning to fit it all in, right? I get up at
Yep.
5, I stretch. I do my stretching now. That's new this year too.
This is part of your protocol.
It is, yeah, it absolutely is. I stretch my ankles, my hips, my thoracic spine, and then because I'm a little bit too tight, and I'm not as flexible as I was when I was younger. So I really need to stretch, and then I pose, and I do my posing, and then I go. I built a well, actually, my husband did work. Did a COVID gym in our garage. And so I then go up to the garage and I do my workout, and I'm done, sometime after 7, and my family's just getting out of bed, so it works out really well.
Thank you for sharing that, because people say they want something and then they hear what's required to get it and they're like, I don't want it anymore.
Yeah,
Is there another way? And I think that the fact that you just shared that is like a great way of being like, look, you can look at me and say you want what I've got, but until you actually show up for yourself, it's not going to happen. And I think that is just really cool. You know, you actually are prioritizing your time. And
Yeah.
there's also people who will say, I can't do this and manage my work, my family life. So does
Yeah.
it ever get overwhelming for you?
Oh, absolutely it does because I mean, because I still have to do my cardio at some point in the day too. So if I can get a lunch break, which is very rare, I can try and do a little bit there, or when I get home from work, or sometimes I'll drop my son down at hockey while he's getting ready for hockey. I'll go for my run and then I'll watch him. So you just have to fit it in where you can. And it's interesting because I thought I was doing such a good job of this, and I wasn't interfering. I was having the balance for my family.
Mm-hmm.
And it was really interesting because my husband and I talk about it a lot. And it was really interesting. What came out was one of the things is that I'm like, yeah, but I finished all my workout. Like, I don't understand how this is affecting you. I'm done before you guys are up. I do my cardio when he's getting ready for hockey. And my husband said to me, yeah, but you're not always mentally with us
Mm,
about your prep, or you're thinking about what you've got to do, or you're thinking about work, because I'm packing everything in so tight, and everything really is like in such a tight time schedule. And I just was like, wow, that is really good information
mm,
for me to be there not just physically at the arena, or not just physically as the family member, but to really be there and be present when I'm there, because it affects them a lot more than I didn't realize how much it was affecting, the family, because I thought I was just, getting it done. But that the relationships, when you go to bed at 9 o'clock at night, so you can get up at 5. There's not a lot of relationship time, right? Or discussion
mhm.
and that. So I think that's where I focused a bit more this year, and really creating time for my family.
Wow. How did you get to a place where you were able to be, or maybe what are some steps you took to be more present in the moment, and disconnect your mind from everything else you had going on?
Yeah. Well, when I do prep for my food prep, I
Mhm.
now prep like weeks at a time. Like, my freezer is full of meat that is, pre-weighed and put in baggies and everything like that. So I really got so good at my food prep, and I eat the same thing all the time. I had every, breakfast frozen, lunch, dinner, everything for weeks at a time, so that I didn't have to think about that. It was just like, okay, you just open up the freezer, you put your stuff in your containers for the day, and off you go. So that alleviated a lot of time. And I think I just really, when my family gets home, that you stop what you're doing, and it's like, it's, even if it's 15 minutes, you're present, you're listening.
Mm.
Yeah. Yeah, I think that was a big shift, and just scheduling time, like, okay, let's have a date night that it's just you and I, and we're going out.
Yeah.
Tonight I'm staying up late. I'm going to stay up till 10:30. Oh my gosh.
That's awesome. I love that. And I appreciate you sharing like your actual steps that you took to do that, because you also have a very demanding job. So how does that impact your day-to-day life, or your training schedule, maybe your meal timing, or the time that you spend with your family?
hmm Yeah, yeah. I work very long hours, and my job is very demanding. It's changed this year. I mean, in the past, I also traveled a lot with my job, so I had to be really, really on top of, the coolers I would pack on the planes and everything like that.
Mm-hmm.
And I never ever, like, when I do prep 100%. I never cheat on my food. I never miss a cardio. I never ever miss a gym session. So I think every night I lay my clothes out. My food's already packed in a cooler in the fridge. Like, I'm just super, super ultra organized. And I look at my day, where I'm fitting everything in tomorrow, where I'm doing my workout, what times, everything, before I go to bed. So I know exactly what my day is going to look like, and I just stick to my schedule. And yeah, I have to eat in front of people, and but I always have a cooler beside me. It goes with me everywhere. People used to laugh. Now they know that's how I roll.
Yep.
So yeah, you just make it work.
Absolutely. Like you said
I've
earlier,
I
you
mean, I even
prioritize
went
it.
to France last.
You
Yeah,
what?
that's exactly it. Yeah.
You went to France, did you say?
Oh, last summer we went to France, and even there, like I took my food for 10 days in coolers on the plane.
Mm-hmm.
I stayed on track 100%, and you just have to prioritize, you make it happen, right? You just
Exactly. And if you can still enjoy the travel, you can still enjoy the area, you can still enjoy what you're doing, and it doesn't take away from your life, then why wouldn't you?
yeah. Yeah, exactly. There's
So,
nothing you can't do if you want it bad enough.
yes, 100%. And I think that's a mentality that will serve you forever, just like it serves a lot of us competitors. There's a lot of us who are like very type A, gotta have everything figured out, or we're very busy. And so, we're demanding a lot of ourselves as well. And you did mention like when you're in prep, it's 100%, nothing off. And I think that's really cool. So, does your prep look different than your life in an improvement season? And if it does, how do the two differ?
Yeah, that's a good question. I think they differ in that, I mean, I just couldn't do prep all the time. So it does change. I still hit the gym every day. I still do my cardio, and I'm still eating clean for the majority, like 80-20 kind of a rule is what I go for.
Mm-hmm.
Um, and I'm still working hard, but it's different in your head, in that, yeah, I don't have to get up at 5 because I'm not doing my posing every day. So I can get up at 6. So things change a little bit. So I can relax a little bit for sure on my improvement season.
And then I'm sure that actually sets you up to go 100% when it's time to prep.
Yeah, absolutely.
So aside from, of course, making sure that we're in a good spot.
Enjoy.
Oh, I think we might have a connection issue. That's why I don't
Mhm.
mean to interrupt you.
No, that's okay. Go ahead. I think there is a little bit of a lag, but no problem.
Okay, I was just gonna ask you like how you actually pick the shows or your competition schedule, and is that going to change now that you are a pro?
Yeah, I think I've when I was doing local shows, yeah, I was doing that's how I was choosing them. I was choosing them as I wanted to stay local until I got to the point with my coach where I became an international pro elite, and we went to Kansas City, Missouri to do worlds. And when we came back from Kansas City, I loved that city. It was so much fun. We had such a good time. But when we came back from that, that's when I kind of realized, okay, you know what? I can see IFBB as a potential that I can actually reach that goal. And then I started competing with CPA, which is an NPC affiliate.
Mhm.
And I did 2 shows with with that to qualify for the Vancouver Pro Am nationals. And then that just led me into, well, then I qualified for, to do North Americans. And the coach that I have now, James, is like, yeah, that's the show you got to do. You've got to do North Americans. It's the show for you. And
Based on like your look.
yeah, I think based on my look, and I think because there's the masters divisions there as well, that's a really good show as a master to do.
Mm-hmm.
So I did that show with him last year, and came second. And so we're like, okay, the focus is that I don't have to do any other show unless you want to. And I'm like, no, I am just going to focus on my improvement season. I'm going to really focus hard on doing North Americans again this year. And so really that's what what led me to doing that show again. And I'm like, I'm not missing it this time. I'm getting my pro card this year.
Wow. So what did that look like for you to go from North Americans 2019 getting second, you could taste it and then be like, okay, the next year I'm going to commit. Like, did your training and nutrition change? Did you do practice peak weeks? Like, what did it look like all the way, in that 52 weeks of prep?
Yeah. Well, and then COVID kind of threw a little bit of a wrench in there too. So,
That's for sure.
and so the prep was different in that regard too. And I think it was a challenging prep because is the show going to happen? Is it going to go? Am I doing this? Am I working so hard and missing out? Because you give sacrifices, you give up things to do this. So that was a little bit more mentally challenging for me, but I'm pretty strong mentally. And I was just, I kept just saying, what, it doesn't matter if it goes or if it doesn't go, just this is who you are. You give 100%. And I did. I gave 100%. Some of the things I did differently was Angeline is our posing coach, or the team posing coach, and she is so amazing. And she just said, she during COVID had a little bit more time as well and did a bunch of workshops. And I attended every workshop she did virtually. Stress management, posing, stretching, stage readiness, everything that she offered. And I really learned a lot during her sessions, and that like I need to stretch before I pose. And my thoracic spine, it was really stiff, and I need to work on that. So I was going to massage once a week for myofascial release. I was seeing a chiropractor for active release techniques, and she was really helping me, stretch my thoracic spine and really gain that flexibility that I was needing. And then I was posing every morning. Like, I did not miss a morning. And so I would, Angeline does this posing that we meet, FaceTime every now and again, but I also did these posings where I would send in videos every day, all week long, which really kept me to posing every day. And then critique me, and I would, okay, that's what I work on for the next day. And then she would give another feedback, and I'd work on that again. And then I might give a week in between, but I was in the habit now of that's what I did in the morning, is I would pose and stretch. And then there was a real big mind shift for me, where I just remember my front pose, she was always saying, dead arm, you just look so stiff. And I'm like, yeah, but it's so hard for me in my front pose. It's so hard for me to get in to my front pose because I'm so not flexible. And she said, whoa, stop. You need to shift your thinking. If you think it's hard, it's going to be hard. And I was just like, whoa, okay. She goes, do it again. She's quite again.
That's awesome.
So I went again, and I'm like, okay, this is easy. And I went, and I just did it. And she's like, yeah, exactly. And I was like, what, really? She's like, yeah, exactly. I'm like, okay, well, I wasn't pushing myself, twisting myself around. I just make it easy. And then that's when we made that finger thumb connection, just, have that physical connection to ground yourself. This is easy. Keep that arm relaxed and just turn.
I love that.
Wow.
So I just love it so much, because perception really is everything. And the fact that helped you to really shift how you viewed the posing and how you viewed yourself and the approach to it, and put you in a more calm and easeful state is awesome. And you really went all in for this prep, which is so cool. And, to do that every single day is, I think, what really sets apart a really strong athlete from someone else. And I think that's why you were able to achieve what you did. And I'm curious, because you mentioned that came with some struggles mentally. It was hard to do that for so long. So what was it that you felt kept you going?
I think I absolutely thrive on preps. I love the regime. I love this is what you need to do it. And like I said, I will follow it to the letter of the law. I will not stray from it.
Yes.
And I just love that. And I love just being a strong woman, and that I can just do it. So that's where I go. I think, oh, love to have a glass of wine with my friends right now. Who knows if the show's even going on? And, people will say that to you. You don't even know if the show's going on. Have a glass of wine. I'm like, nope.
I
This is my
know,
goal.
how crazy.
Yeah. You just have to stay on the line, like this is my goal, whether it's happening or not. Because if I cheated, if I strayed and the show went on and I missed
Mhm.
it, you'd just be, what? What did you do?
Exactly.
So
Exactly.
yeah, just keep focusing on the goal.
That's awesome. And you really did. I mean, you went from one show to the next, you really kept that focus in mind. What were some things you worked on, like maybe some feedback you got that you guys prioritized in order to really bring your best, aside from the adjustments to posing and, of course, the energy you brought on stage?
Yeah, really worked on my upper body. That was some of the feedback, and my glutes. So just did glutes every other day pretty much to really work on my physique and my upper body for sure.
And if you could only pick one exercise for your glutes, for your hamstrings, and then one for your shoulders, what would you pick? What exercise would you pick for each of them?
Okay. Glutes, you know what? I love hip thrusts because you can go so heavy and just really feel your glutes working. And then I love supersetting that with band work and just burning them out and just going right back in again. There's nothing better than a really hard leg work day. Like,
Yeah.
so great. Feel so good after. Um, Hamstrings, I'm going to come back to that one. I'm not sure. Uh, Shoulders, I love doing my rear delts. So probably the cable pull,
Yeah.
do those rear delts. I just love how they look. I love how you can just really isolate it with that exercise. I love how you feel, really feel that burn. Hamstrings. Now I can't remember what it's called. So you might have to help me on this one.
Okay.
I always go in my gym anyway on the lat pull down machine, and I tuck my legs under and go nice and slowly to the ground. What's that one called?
The glute ham raise.
Yeah.
That's awesome. I always find it difficult well, at my gym, the seat for the lat pull down is not very wide. And I find it difficult because the padding for the feet or for the knees, like for the lat pull down, it extends out more. So where my feet go ends up being like I'm like, I can't do it here. So I always just like, I find the most random places to tuck my feet. I'm like, nobody mind me, please.
Isn't that great though? The different things that we just rig up to make it happen.
Have you seen those memes that are like, bikini girls will turn anything into a glute workout?
Yes, I love it. And I'm like, yeah, totally.
That's right. Give me anything, I'll show you some.
Yeah, I love
So
it.
I know it's the best because it's true and we can all relate. And I'm sure there's people listening who are like, yeah, but like I know I've done some really embarrassing, like to other people. Like I've had a friend come work out with me, and to me it's totally normal to like go on the back extension machine, not machine, but whatever stand
Yeah.
thing, and just like hang over it and do reverse hip thrust or reverse hip raises and glute raises, and I'm like froggies and doing all these pumps on it, like all these random things. And my friends are like, I'm not doing that. I'm like, this is why I train alone, like I don't get embarrassed. This is for my goals.
Well, and I love the frog pumps on the with the Smith machine, laying on the bench and putting your legs up behind.
Yes.
That one's a great one as well.
Game changer. I only recently started doing it on a bench. Before I was always just doing froggy pumps like a dumbbell. I was like, this is getting too light. And then I found doing it on the Smith just as you described. Oh my God. I'm like, why didn't I do that before? I love how your glute muscles just like expand and like contract. It's like such a good feeling.
Yeah, it feels amazing. Yeah, it really. Yeah, I love it.
Girl, now I'm all ready to hit legs tomorrow. You don't even know.
Oh my God.
So fun. Okay, so let's go back to your experience with the prep and the North Americans and all this and becoming a pro. So when you mentioned earlier, like sometimes like, okay, I still got to get my cardio in. So sometimes I do it this way. You also like to mountain bike ride. So do you incorporate this into your cardio? Do you find it's impacted your preps or your improvement seasons? Like, does your coach allow it? Uh-huh.
Okay, so in improvement season, absolutely. I do a lot of mountain biking and I do a lot of that. When I'm starting to come into a prep, I actually don't, I just get a little bit nervous about, I don't want to be injured. I don't want to be like lots of bruises on my body. So I kind of start stepping away from mountain biking, and that's when I do more road cycling. Um,
Mm.
and hiking. I live on a ski hill, so I hike the ski hill every day. And then sometimes I have to do more, depending on how much James is giving me for cardio. Sometimes I have to, do a little run or something like that just to get my calories. But yeah, no, I love doing cardio outside. It's my absolute favorite. So I've got a couple of really great running loops with lots of stairs in them. Like I said, hiking the hill and definitely biking of some kind. And I just feel that by switching it up, I keep engaged and I'm interested in wanting to do it, as compared to I've got to hit the treadmill.
Yeah. Oh, exactly. I found like COVID taught me that about myself as well. Like, um, just being able to go run outside, I was able to feel empowered and inspired by all the loops I could create, all the hikes or all the trails I could go on and run that I used to always hike on. And that was always fun for me. Like, that's something that now I'm like committed to sticking to. Like, my gym literally just opened up today,
Oh,
but yeah, I'm very happy. And so I'm like, but I still want to keep running. I still want to keep, and now that I'm in improvement season, I'm like, I want to be hiking a lot more too. So
hmm.
yeah, outdoor cardio is so freeing and it just feels good. And, you've also been an athlete your entire life with dance. You
Mhm.
said biking, hiking, you live on a scale. So do you find that this sport now, bodybuilding, is something you can and will stay committed to for a long time, or do you have like an end in mind?
No, this is definitely lifetime. Like this is great lifetime
Mhm.
fitness, and I'm still, I want to do my pro debut. I still want to keep in the game, and even when I am done, I will still be working out. I think it's so important for our mental health, our physical health. I want to be a role model to my son. He's now working out with me, which is so amazing.
Wow.
I mean, I do my second workout with him, right? We do kind of a hockey workout together, but it's just so cool that I think it's such an important thing to do. And as we get older, it's even more important for our bones, for to be injury free, to just really stay all around healthy. There's a guy at
Yes.
the gym, and he is just the most amazing man, and I, he was 76 now, I think. And oh my gosh, he's so amazing. I took a picture with him and I post with him because he's my guy. He's my inspiration. Like, God, I still want to be doing that in my 70s. And my dad
Yes.
played hockey well into his 70s. And I'm like, you know what? That's who I'm going to be. I'm not just going to stop doing this.
I love that. And I feel like having that type of mentality actually helps to sustain the process and find like the best approach for you because like there isn't this end in mind really. There's no like, okay, I have to do it by this time or I have to accomplish these things in this amount. Instead, it's like I'm gonna be doing this for as long as I can, so there's no rush.
Exactly. I did though. It is funny. I did sort of put like I want to accomplish get my IFBB pro card
Uh-huh.
before I'm 50. So I did
Nice.
put a limit on that. I'm like, I was 48 and I'm like, okay, I got 2 years to do it.
That's so cool. And you did it. And I think, you had that goal in mind and you showed up for that goal every single day. And that is just, again, I just find you to be a powerful example of someone who takes action and says or does what they say they're going to do. So just, I'm here admiring you for that because I think it's really awesome. And you've mentioned a few times too, like how supportive your husband is. And how he supports you through all of this. And he also keeps it real with you, you know, in the moments where you have negative body image, or maybe if it comes up now, or in those moments where you're not as present in that time with them, you're only there physically. So how does he support you through everything on a day-to-day basis? Like, what does it mean to you?
Yeah, I mean, it means everything to me. He's so supportive. He knows that, he'll say, "Have you done your cardio?" So he'll help me. Like, "Do you need me to do something?" We really work so well as a team, and we just see we're intuitive of what each other needs, and we work really well of what has to happen, what needs to be done. We're good communicators, and I think that's really key. And then I say to him too, like, "How about you? Have you had a workout? Do you have time? Do you need to go?" We're just always looking out for each other's wellness and well-being. And, I'll take Alexander to hockey if you want to do, we're always just sort of trying to balance each other out. But yeah, he's super simple. He cooks a lot of chicken for me, for sure. He would and he's cooked a lot of chicken over the years, for
How
sure.
does he cook it?
He does it on the barbecue.
Okay, I think Carla Garthwaite's husband does the same thing, and she's like, no one can do it like him.
I'm like, just put the whole barbecue, fill it all with chicken, and then at the same time, I'll probably do it in the big, foodie, uh,
Yeah,
you know, and do chicken that way as well, so that we just have tons of chicken done. And he eats my food. Like, I make,
that's what I was wondering.
yeah, like both of my husband and my child. So I make something that we call protein muffins, which is ground turkey and egg whites, and like just lots of spices and a little bit of celery or whatever for a little bit of crunch. And we all eat them for lunches, dinners, whatever. I've always got a huge thing of rice in the fridge that they all eat. Um, I make these, and we call them muffins, but they're really, it's just egg whites and oatmeal and spices, cinnamon and nutmeg or whatever. And other people will try them and they're like, "That is disgusting."
Yep, yep.
My family, we love them. They're dense. You want to hurry, you grab one of my muffins and
Cookies.
you have to trick your brain, as you are well aware when you're on prep, that this is really a treat. Oh my gosh.
It is. Seriously, like there are things I get excited about on prep, and then I like offer a bite to someone. Now, that's very rare, but it'd be an extra bite of something I've meal prepped, not from my actual pre-measured. Anyway, besides the point.
Okay.
Um they're like, "Why would I want that?" Like, at what point did you think that that would be interesting to me? I'm like, that's a good point, but at the same time, to me, it's like just the lifestyle. Like you said, it's what your family does. It's just,
Yeah.
it's natural for you guys. Now, my boyfriend doesn't live the same exact lifestyle as me, but it's not a problem. And I think that people should understand that too. Like, there's a lot of people who are successful in the sport and their husband or their kids don't even eat at all like them. And so I think it's actually really cool that yours does. And I'd be curious to hear, like, if they take a different approach at all to you. Like, do they measure and weigh things or cook things up differently, or season or spice it up, or sauces or anything like that?
Yeah, I think, they both try and eat healthy. My son wants to eat healthy for his hockey. He's the whopping age of 12, but he wants to
That's
uh,
awesome.
yeah, he just made the double A team and he wants to
Wow.
work out and he wants to eat healthy and he wants to just do really well at hockey. And my husband wants to be fit and he is fit and he wants to continue to be fit and eat healthy. In saying that, no, they don't measure their food or weight or anything like that. And they absolutely are not on a strict diet. Like, there's lots of junk in the house and there's lots of other, things that are consumed as well. But I mean, it's nice that they do really think about what they're eating, and yes, today they're having a treat or whatever, but it is a thought process that they go through.
Yes, that's awesome. I think that that's what it's all about. It's like making it work for you. And I think it's so cool that your son sees the value in fueling his body, especially as an athlete, and he seems to be taking this very seriously. So, what does he think about your lifestyle and what you do?
It's so funny. He's at dryland training right now. But he was like, oh, can I please stay? I want to be on the podcast. I want to talk about you.
Oh, that's amazing.
Yeah, you know what? He's a really cool kid, and they both like I'll talk about him first. So he he thinks it's really cool what I do, and he's so supportive of me, and just like, sometimes I'll look at his ice cream that he's eating. He's like, Mom, you can't. And I go, I know, I'm just looking. And he goes, okay. And then I'll like smell it or something. He's like, you can't, Mom. And I'm like, I know, I'm just smelling. But he's like so supportive. And I didn't know this, but he said this to my mom this summer when we were at the lake. He said, because I get up, and when they're having dessert, I'll get up and do dishes, right? Just remove myself. I don't have to watch them eat the wonderful dessert or anything. And he said to my mom, "Gosh, it must be so hard for my mom to miss out in these yummy desserts, and like she works really hard." And I was like, "Wow, I didn't know he thought that." So that was pretty neat. But he definitely helps keep me on track for sure. He's like, "Okay, so you've got your food." Like he does. He makes sure that I'm set, and I'm ready, and he'll help. He'll watch me pose. He's watched me pose for many years now, and he actually has an amazing eye. So
Wow.
he said, "Okay, you did really well. There's just two things. Can I comment on?" And I'm like, "Yeah, absolutely." And he tells me 2 points of feedback.
Hmm.
Those are the exact two things Angeline told me as feedback. Like exact.
Wow. What were they?
Wow, got a really, really good eye. So one, one of them was when I turned to the back, he said, "You're leaning forward too much. You need to stand your back up straighter when you have that transition. And at the end, you wave your hand a little harshly. You need to soften your wave a little bit."
Wow.
I was like, wow.
That
Gosh.
is awesome. The
So,
fact that he could see that, like, do you think that's just because it looked more appealing to the eye, or is he invested in the sport and watches things with you?
he's watched me for a number of years now, and I just think that he's definitely interested in it, and he enjoys giving feedback, and he just naturally has a good eye for things for sure. Like he's got a very artistic eye. But yeah, I think it's a little bit of both. He does really have the eye, but he's invested in me, and he really wanted he wanted me to do well, and he gets
Mm,
excited.
that is so cool. I just think that that's awesome. Okay, so like some parents want to hide it from their children.
Oh,
Um, what do you think about like the actual nature of it? Because I personally don't think that bikini is as sexualized as some people make it seem like it is. So what is your thought process or mindset around that aspect of things?
yeah, that's interesting. I would never have thought of hiding it. Personally, we're a very open family. We talk about everything. I try and keep things as
Mm.
open and natural about everything. I don't see bikini as being a sexual thing at all. I think, as you know, being an athlete, it's just so
Yep.
interesting to see the body and other athletes and their physique development. Like I'm just so interested in that. So I've never put that energy that it's a sexy thing. And so I don't think my son has ever seen it that way either. Like he's never said, "Oh, you're in a bikini." Like, no, this is what you do. And this is
That's
how you're
cool.
showing your physique. So yeah, I've never even put that energy out there that it would be anything different than you work your butt off. And he sees how hard I work, right? That it's not just
Hmm.
wearing a bikini and strutting around. You were working so hard, and now you are showing the physique that you have sculpted.
Exactly. I love that. I think that's just so cool. And obviously, there's this bonding that can then happen between you and your family because you guys are so close. And I've seen that you have this tradition with your husband, with the wine and charcuterie board, right?
Yes,
That is so cool. Is this something you do after all your shows?
after every show. Yeah,
How
yeah.
did this start?
Well, you know what? It's actually a family thing. So my son loves it as well, minus the wine. Um, so on Friday nights, it's kind of like our night through improvement season and everything. It's our night where we have charcuterie together, and we just love it. It's like our favorite thing, and we have a nice bottle of wine. And when I'm in prep, obviously we don't, or I don't. Sometimes they do. And so that's the one thing that I really miss, because it's our family thing that we do. It's our little ritual that we do. It's our time together. And it's just, we just love eating that way of just picking food instead of sitting and eating a huge meal. I'd rather just have little pickings. And during prep, I still do it a little bit with them, but I put like the things I can eat on it just so I can pretend that I'm involved and be.
Yes.
And so, yeah, so after every show, that's the first thing we do together as a family. So it looked a little bit different this year, because when I came home from North Americans, my family, they were on the deck. They couldn't help me with my bags because I had to self-isolate for 2 weeks.
Oh my gosh.
They went in the front door, and then I went in the side door and came straight downstairs to the basement, where I then lived for the next 2 weeks.
Oh.
And um, when I got down, that's where I am right now, because it's where my office station is down here. Create like a good 2 week space down here for me. And they had all these balloons and welcome home. And on the table was this huge platter of charcuterie and
Aw.
my favorite bottle of wine, and the fridge down here was stocked with good, like healthy, good food. And yeah, it was really nice.
That is so cool. That is just amazing. I am inspired by your family. I am very inspired. I think it's just so cool that there's so much obvious love and support and excitement to celebrate each other, which is also really awesome. And do you guys have any other traditions that maybe you look forward to or that change prep improvement season?
That's probably one of the biggest things. I mean, we always sit together at some point during the day, and we talk and we reflect about our how our day went. We used to do this in the hot tub, but and it was a really special time because no other distractions at all, right? You just sit in the hot tub and you all talk about your day, and so it's really focused time. But then we got rid of our hot tub, so now
No.
I know it kind of had a leak, so
Kind of.
kind of had to get rid of it. But what we do in the summer, anyways, we sit on the deck after work, and if I can, if there's a day that I can have a glass of wine, we have a glass of wine. If not, we just sit and we just chat and catch up and just spend even if it's 15 minutes, but just time to just connect.
Mm, that's really cool. And I just think it's awesome that you guys are so close and there's so much support. So I guess only other kind of curious question that I had was about like how your mindset has shifted since taking on this identity or this title of IFBB Pro. Have you noticed a shift?
Yeah. So you know what? And I don't want this to come wrong.
Okay.
So I think the shift was happening before I became an IFBB pro, because one of the things I was doing was really believing before I was a pro that I was a pro, really creating that energy and visualizing, doing lots of that. I I had last year, Jody and I went backstage at North Americans and we took a picture of the trophies. And I did not win my trophy. And to be honest, I wasn't ready last year. Like I still had work to do on my posing and my confidence on stage. So I knew what I had to work on this year. But I took that picture and I blew it up to trophy size and I put it amongst my trophies.
That is awesome.
every day I walked by it believing that I had already achieved it and that I was an IFBB pro. And I just, I really just tried to, or I carried that energy with me. Um, and so when it happened, and I remember being on stage going like, like just believing that I'm a pro and I'm posing like a pro and I've got the energy and the confidence and everything. And so I guess my mindset now is the shift now is that, yeah, like I did it, like I really am. I really did make it happen. Um, yeah.
That is cool. And when you visualize and you spend time, connecting to this version of you that you're becoming and you're creating that energy as though it's already happened, it's already done.
Yeah.
Are you doing that now for any particular goals?
Yeah, I will. I haven't yet, but I absolutely will. And I've always done that in life. So, um, yeah, thank you. I'm going to do that this weekend.
That's awesome. Actually, I think there's going to be a section on something similar to that in the post-show program.
Yeah, because I've always done like a map, of, I know people have lots of different names for the maps, but that you do what you have your goals on them. And then you act as if they've already happened kind of thing, right? And so I've done them for years now, and my husband and I do them together. So maybe we'll do one together this year, even or this weekend, I mean, and involve my son for the first time.
That's
Um,
awesome.
there's definitely goals that I have. I just haven't put them on a vision board yet and haven't started focusing on them. But I know there's some goals that we want as a family. There's goals that we want as a couple as well. So yeah, I'll have to do that.
Oh, I'm excited about that. I hope you post a picture.
Yeah, and it's so powerful. It is so powerful, and it's so amazing that when you reach them, you're like, "Yep, taken." Like, look, we did all of these goals. We reached them. Okay, next board. What are we doing?
Exactly. Oh my gosh. Like there are things from my journals way back, years ago, also very recently, where I wrote exactly what I wanted. And most of the times it came to fruition exactly as I wrote it would, or in an even better way. Um, and I think that that's just like an example of how powerful it is, but also my vision board, like my last vision board, I was like, oh my God, like I took off all the things that I had achieved and I left the things on that were like evergreen or like we're going to continue to evolve or I hadn't achieved yet.
Mhm.
And it was really cool to take a lot of those pieces off and be able to see like, okay, I did that. It's very rewarding.
It's very rewarding. And it's just like you really see how powerful it is when you are focusing on something and thinking about something and looking at it, that you can you manifest it, you make it happen. So it's so powerful. It's incredible.
Yes, exactly. So you've shared so much advice already, so many direct insights, direct experiences. I would love if you could share your best piece of advice for girls who are on their road to pro, and then your best piece of advice for newbie competitors who've never competed before but want to.
Okay, so my advice to those on their road to pro, I think would really be what is the energy you're bringing to your routine and practice it. So not just day of, but practicing that energy. And that's what Angeline and I did this year. We rehearsed it. We rehearsed that energy. And I think it's so important. And she didn't let me ever do it with bad energy or like just woke up or anything like that. It was like, just bring that best energy you can. And as we know, what you practice is what you bring.
Yeah.
And I think to someone who's never done it before, um, you know, I think do the research, go to a show, see a show, know how it runs. Make sure it's for you. It's not for everyone. It's not easy. It shouldn't be easy. That's not for everyone. There's lots of sacrifice involved. So know why you're doing it for sure. And then when you're in it, just keep reminding yourself to trust the process, because you know, there's so many times where you can get in your head, or you can get derailed, or you know, just you have those moments. So just staying strong and trusting the process. And I think to both groups, I would say schedule family time in, schedule date night. I had overlooked that. I thought I was doing a good job of it.
Mm.
And I think when we started actually scheduling it, it made a big shift.
Mm. That is awesome advice for both. And again, I just really appreciate you being so willing to share everything, and be vulnerable, be real, be raw, but also give us direct and implementable insight and advice. So thank you so much. And thank you for your time as well. I'd love for everyone to be able to reach out to you, talk to you more, follow you, and of course, see an update on those charcuteries and your goals. So can you let everyone know where they can follow you or connect with you?
Absolutely, yeah. So really, I'm an Instagram person, and it's J Sharam, SHARAM _IFBB Pro.
Awesome. Okay, so I'm going to put the link to that in the show notes page, you guys. That's always on celestial.fit/podcast. She's going to have her own category. It's going to be under Jennifer Roberts, and then you'll see her Instagram link there, as well as all the show notes, the episode timestamps, the image, all of it. So I'm really, and I'll also include a link to the 7-day post show series that we mentioned, just so you guys can see what it's about too. And then thank you guys so much for listening every single week. Thank you for subscribing, reviewing, rating, sharing with your friends, your teammates. Like, it goes a long way. It allows me to connect with people like Jen. Like, this is so cool to me. And I hope one day that I get to interview you if you're listening. You know, I really hope that if that's your goal, if you want to be a pro, I hope that one day I get to speak with you and hear all about your journey. And I just wanted to say your messages mean so much. Your support means so much. And it does not go unnoticed. So thank you. And Jennifer, thank you again.
Thank you very much. It was a pleasure.
Oh, of course, of course. I hope that you all have an amazing rest of your day, night, or morning, wherever you are in the world while you're listening to this episode. Just make it awesome.